Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gypsy Moto Show. I'm Brett Wenzel, and with me tonight I have Aaron Lully and Chip Brock.
Hey guys.
All right, well, we're going to get into a couple things tonight. We're really glad you're here. First thing we'd like to talk about is the upcoming race. So that'll be our D30 race, District 30 race. That's going to be April 11th, 12th, and 13th. So on the 11th, that will be a Friday. That'll be our practice day. Then we will do Moto 1 on the 12th and then Moto 2 on the 13th. So Saturday will be Moto 1 and Sunday will be Moto 2. And that was one of the things that I think Chip brought up the other on our last show. And I'd said, no, we wouldn't do that. But we did have our scoring ladies listen to the podcast and they were like, well, why can't we do that? And I was like, well, I guess I haven't checked into it. So I did some checking into it, and there's absolutely nothing against it. In fact, it's something that's kind of becoming more popular in other places. And it kind of does make sense because you kind of make it into a kind of more of a, like an event type of a thing. So if somebody's coming to the Black Hills from somewhere else, they can actually come do their motos, leave with their family, go see Mount Rushmore, or do whatever they want to do, and then come back again and do that tomorrow. Do the second moto the next day. So you can make it more of a family event and let people actually enjoy the Black Hills a little bit. So there's that. And we've also wanted to get to where we're actually having concerts in between. So that, like down in the short track, it won't happen at this race, but it's kind of what we have planned for the future. So we'd have some entertainment in the short track area, turn the lights on at night, and maybe have a band or something, just something that going on Saturday night from now on. So it's something that we're working towards, and this is just one of the next stepping stones to getting there. I guess the main thing is we've had only two people ask questions about that. I think we got those questions answered for those people, but there might be other people out there wondering why we're doing that, and we're going to go ahead and tell you our main reasons. The main reason, more than anything, would be pitting. So with our pit situation, as it is now, of course, we're going to continue to make it bigger and bigger. But the way it is right now, if we were to run, no matter how we looked at it, how we split up the races, even if we did the amateur one day and the youth the other day, there's still going to be some crossover. And enough crossover that, motocross isn't like it used to be where you'd show up with your pickup and four bikes or three bikes or whatever in the back of the truck, or maybe somebody just hauling a trailer. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. We've gotten to the point where everybody has the biggest camper they can find and at least one side by side, and then it seems like everybody in the family drives their car too. So that's one of the things we're going to try to alleviate, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that being said, that's why we decided we're going to get everybody pitted in on Friday night and Saturday morning, and then you'll have that pit for the whole weekend, and we won't have the kids out riding around or running around and then have campers coming back and forth and having that issue. So that was kind of the main reason. I think it's just going to work better for our facility as it is. And then probably the next thing that's of importance would be the tech inspection. We'll get that done Friday night and then Saturday morning, and then we're done with tech inspection instead of having to wait again till Sunday and do it again Sunday. So, is there any things you want to talk about there, Aaron, or do you want to wait? Or
with the tech inspection, mainly it looks like one of the more complicated rules are with the stock 50s. So, if you have and specifically with the clutch, if you have a modified clutch or an aftermarket clutch, it doesn't fit into the stock class. So, but we have the modified classes for you. So, and to be honest, it's pretty easy to tell when those are modified. So we want to avoid protests or anything. So if you do have a modified clutch, just plan on going into the modified class and keep your life and our life simple. But if we we're gonna follow the rules that the AMA has provided, and we'll tear down if we have to, but hopefully we can just get everybody in the right class right away. so that we don't run into any of those issues, and we keep the races fair and keep the bikes flowing through without any teardowns if we can avoid them. But if we have to, we will. Yeah, and if you have any questions, it's all on the AMA website. But if you and you should look through them. But basically, there's almost, if you're riding a stock class, there's almost nothing allowed for modifications.
Right.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Right. That is one real quick thing I'll touch on right there. Probably tomorrow or the next day, we will be going live with our new website. Everything you need is going to be on there, or a link to it. So you can get that stuff done ahead of time if you need to get notaries signed for your kids or whatever. All the instructions will be on there, what you need to do and that kind of thing. So also we'll have links to what a stock bike is and what a modified bike is. So you'll know. And basically, here's the way we're going to do it, guys, is we're going to be as polite as we can about it, but we're also it's going to be on you. If you show up with a bike that's not modded or is modded and you try to race in that class, you're going to forfeit your money. So don't show up to that class and try to cheat, because your money's gone. So just make sure that if it's an honest mistake, and we can see it's an honest mistake, we're going to try to make that right. But so
Speaking of classes, how about your vet classes?
yes,
Is it going to be the same ones that we always run, or is it anything different?
it's the same ones we always run. We're basically doing all of the Loretta's classes,
That sounds good.
and that we just went along with that for all of our vet classes, I think. And then lastly, bike repair. So let's say you're riding and you get a flat tire. Well, if you have another moto coming in an hour, you might get it fixed, you might not get it fixed. But if say it's even something bigger than that, if you have that night to get it fixed, find the parts, you're probably going to be able to race again tomorrow on Sunday. So that was kind of the final thing, and that's kind of why we went that route. So that's one of the things about motocross. A lot of times we get stuck in our ways, and I think sometimes just even things like this, even though it might annoy some people, I think it's great because it stretches them, and they just have to try to learn something new. And that's part of keeping the sport fresh and keeping yourself fresh and new. So
Yeah.
kind of something new. Did want to talk about the scoring thing real quick. So what we're going to do there is we had decided that we were going to go with transponders this year. And we got ready to do that. We were like probably one day away from pulling the trigger. And we were just kind of looking at, we'd voted that we would do it. And we decided we were going to do it. We looked at the costs involved with that, and then the costs that would be involved with that for our racers. And we thought, well, maybe we should just buy this first setup. We'll have a certain amount of transponders. We'll let everybody else purchase their transponders that wants to. They wouldn't have to this year. We'd be able to give them lap times and that type of thing. And that seemed like a good idea. And then we became aware of new technology that is just around the corner that essentially is going to make the transponder thing obsolete. And without going into a lot of things, it's something that we've kind of actually been part of and been working on in the virtual fence cattle thing. And some of that technology also now has come more towards motocross. And without telling you too much, it's like so much further ahead. And for the money and the expense, it's much less expensive for the rider. A whole lot more data to the rider, and then the fan experience is going to be through the roof. So I'm not going to say too much more yet, but once we became aware of this and saw how close we were at this happening, we decided that we probably won't spend the money on the transponder system, just seeing that it's essentially going to be obsolete. So that's, as long as this holds true, that's the way we're going to go. If it all falls through, then next year we will do the transponder thing, but we'll give everybody a heads up time enough to go that direction if we do go that direction. So that's kind of where we're at with the scoring system. So if anybody wonders why we're not doing a scoring system this year, number one, we've always been early adopters. I think 15 years ago we started doing the RFID thing. is it MyLapse? Is that right? I can't remember, whatever the one that everybody's using now. Um, but essentially what you're going to get there is 70% capture rate, and that's about as good as you're ever going to do. And we actually have two of those systems. We have one that we used for the hair scramble, and it's been updated. That's something that we may use still for the hair scramble thing, because that system's had a lot of work that's gone into it with your robot builder friends, Aaron.
Yeah,
What's their names?
Andersons.
Andersons. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going there. So that one, we'll have that system probably for the hair scramble. But as far as motocross goes, it's just we want 100% capture. We also want to know splits. We want to also have. So one of the things that this has, I'll just give you this idea, is there will be a lot of AI involved. So even the announcing will be next level, because even if they can't see up over the hill who's where, they'll already know if that pass was made, which is just something that no other scoring system is capable of. And then it'll also have some swarm technology. They'll all be Bluetooth, and there'll be continual updates every time they come across certain splits areas. So you'll have updating times between splits, even in motocross, almost like they have in supercross kind of thing. But it'll actually update quicker. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say. So that's the main reason we didn't go there, because we see some new things coming.
That makes sense.
So the other thing that we want to discuss real quickly is pit bikes. So you've probably seen how a lot of tracks have basically just totally nixed the pit bike thing. We don't necessarily want to go there yet if we don't have to. What we do want to do, though, is make a rule on the pit bike. So if you've got a pit bike, you can ride your pit bike to sign up. You can ride your pit bike at basically walking speed. We don't want you ripping through there, but if you're parked way out there, we don't want to have to see you walk clear from way out there. Sometimes you're going to need to be able to ride something. So we want to see everybody basically being on their best behavior, use them for utilitarian purposes only, that kind of thing. Now, you're not going to get a warning. So if we catch you out there, or we catch your kids out there riding them for fun, that's going to be it. You're either going to be asked to put that back in the trailer, or you can leave. And I hate to be that way, but essentially that's what's happened to a bunch of these tracks. Now people wonder, why is this track gone? Why is this track gone? The lawsuits that have happened through a lot of these pit bike situations has just really ruined motocross. That's one of the big ones. And so we're just going to try to be proactive on that. We're going to first ask everybody to use it as a means of getting through the day, but not a means of entertainment. The other thing we're going to ask is, we don't have a huge pit. So if you do bring a side-by-side, we'd like to see you get that thing parked in as tight as you can. No gathering of the wagons in front of your pit area, and try to be as polite as you can to everybody else that's there, so they have a great race experience as well. So try to keep your pit small, tight, and just be a good neighbor kind of a thing. On those side by sides, we'd like to see you just bring one. We don't want to. There's no reason anybody needs to have more than one side by side per pit. And again, those you can use those in a utilitarian manner, and that'll be fine with us. But the last thing we want to see people riding back and forth, just taking laps. And again, this is going to be a hard and fast rule. You must wear a motorcycle helmet. So no bicycle helmets on motorcycles or side-by-sides are going to be allowed. So that's just part of the deal if you want to do that. I know that might kind of cramp everybody's style, and I hate to see that go in that direction. But again, it comes down to, do we love our sport? And if we do, there's some sacrifices we're going to have to, kind of put up with till we get through this whole thing. There's only 2 insurance companies really left out there. And we've got a good relationship with our insurance companies, and we want to make sure we keep that, and want to make sure that we keep racing. So
is it on the motorcycle helmets for the pit bikes too, right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And mainly the pit bikes is what I was talking about. So if you're an adult driving a a side by side or riding in a side by side, no, you don't have to wear a helmet. But if you absolutely all pit bikes, we want kid or adult, we want to see you have a helmet on. That's just going to be a rule. And I know it's hot, but that's just something we're gonna ask of anybody that's a guest of ours.
You know,
Very
and I
fair.
think that it's there's a lot of hubbub about lawsuits and insurance, but I think the thing we have to remind ourselves of is that if nobody gets hurt, there's no lawsuit.
Amen.
And so the reason that we've gotten to this point is because a lot of people have gotten hurt. And, and the data says that's why that's why the AMA is excited about this, is the data says these pit bikes and side by sides are generating a lot of injuries that are pretty avoidable. So we haven't had one, so we're going to avoid it.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well,
So what are you going to be doing on Saturday?
skiing and then going to the track, probably.
Watching the races.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm going to be watching the races. Yeah, good segue. So, what do we got for predictions?
Go ahead, Aaron.
I'm going to go with Shimoda just because it's getting late in the year. And I'd like to see him do well, and I know he's got the capability. And it's going to be it'll be a technical track, and I think that's where he does well. And 450s, I just kind of feel like Cooper Webb's gonna. It just feels like his week for whatever reason.
A good pick.
Yeah.
If you want me to go next, I
every time thanks the man above is what he always has to say.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna have to go with, of course, Deegan, because we're back in the West, and I know he had a heck of a week, getting arrested and stuff. But him and his handlers and his family, they turned that into a big marketing, deal, to where they've been, selling T-shirts with his mugshot on there and everything. And everything I heard, he was just being a knucklehead like all of us have been. Hot rodding, doing burnouts and stuff. He wasn't, from what I understand, he wasn't on the highway doing 200 miles an hour, putting the general public at risk. But we've all done it. Can't hold it against the guy. He's a kid, But he's going to come out this weekend, I think, with some extra swag. I got to go with Sexton, man. I do all these fantasy leagues, and Sexton has really hurt me. But he helped me last week, so I'm counting on him again. So, I mean, to me, he's the fastest guy out there. No doubt about it. If he's in the right mindset, then I don't think there's too many people that can touch him.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, if it rains, he's actually maybe the best mud rider other than Barsha. But
Barsha, yeah. That's a guy that I wish would. I mean, he was always right there, and this year, It's weird. He started training with Alden Baker, and he's probably having one of his worst seasons that he's had, I think.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Brett.
Well,
We're
talking about Seattle, and quite frankly, I probably would have went with Deegan just because I think it's his night, but it got to be original. So, Juju, is he hurt or is he gonna? Do we know?
I thought he was hurt, but I thought he, like at the last race, weren't they saying he was pretty healthy now? And it's been 3 weeks for him. So
just to be different, and because of anybody in the 250s, I like him best just as the person that he is.
That's he's cool kid.
I just like the kid. So I'm going to go with him to be different from you guys. And so we got a race and something to
yeah.
And then,
all right. Let's hear 450s.
Well, again, you took my guy.
I would trade Webb for Roxon if it rains.
Roxon separated his shoulder last time.
Oh,
remember?
That's right. Yeah, dang it. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, well, Kenny's hurt too, but I'll go with Kenny because you know what, he rides a Suzuki too, and I like Kenny.
And I've been getting some questions, and I'm sure you guys have on what our practice. I'm not even going to say schedule, but what our potential for practice is going through this summer looks like with the new track design and all the changes that we made.
Yes.
Making all those changes every time we're making a big change like that, it takes away from potential practice time. But then in the end, hopefully it is going to add more, gives us more flexibility. But I mean, just kind of, so in the long term, we know it's going to pay off, but where are we at right now for this summer? What's it look like going forward?
Yeah. So just to recap your question, you're really asking about what are we going to do for practices this summer besides trying to do our infrastructure and that type of thing. I think you asked me. We had been like last year. We'd been when there was rains, then we'd have practices. And are we going to move past that? And the answer to that is yes. What we're kind of planning on doing is this first part when there's moisture, for sure we're going to have a race like the first part of the season or a practice, excuse me. So when it rains, we're definitely going to be having practices. We're going to continue to work on that water system. We're very, very close. Once it's up 100% in running, then I plan on having a practice once a week at least.
Cool.
So that'll be the plan. And I don't want to get everybody excited for that, but hopefully by mid-June we have that thing, all the posts in place, have all the sprinklers set. I mean, we're going to, of course, continue to build on it, but it'll be to where we can guarantee to have a practice once a week kind of thing. That's the goal. So,
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, it's been good talking to you guys.
Yeah, good talking to you, Brett. Chip.
Take care,
Thanks,
Aaron.
everybody.
See you, Brett.
See you later. Bye bye.